Captain Tae-ho Kim stood at the edge of the dark cave, his hand resting on his laser pistol. The air smelled old and stale. His team had been exploring this abandoned moon base for 3 days, finding nothing but empty rooms and broken machines. Until now. "Sir, you need to see this," called Ji-woo, his science officer. Her voice echoed through their comm system. "Lower level, Section 5. Tae-ho made his way down the crumbling stairs. The base had been built into the moon's natural cave system. Whoever had lived here was long gone, but they had left something behind. "What am I looking at?" he asked as he entered the massive chamber. Then he saw it. In the center of the room lay a creature unlike anything in human records. It was huge, at least 30 meters long, with a body covered in scales that shimmered between deep blue and purple even in the dim light. Its form resembled the dragons of Earth legends, with 4 powerful limbs, a long neck, and a tail that curled around its body. 2 massive wings were folded against its sides, but the creature was not free. Thick metal bands wrapped around its legs and neck. Strange devices were attached to its head and spine, glowing with a faint blue light. Energy fields hummed around it, forming a cage without bars. "Is it alive?" Tae-ho asked, stepping closer. Ji-woo nodded, checking her scanner. "Yes, but it's in some kind of forced sleep. These devices," she pointed to the implants along its spine, "they're keeping it unconscious." "How long has it been here?" Ji-woo's face grew serious. "Based on the dust patterns and power decay, at least 700 years, Captain." Tae-ho felt a chill run down his spine. 700 years of imprisonment. The thought made his stomach turn. "What kind of being is it?" he asked. "Unknown. Nothing like it in our database," Ji-woo replied. "But these control systems are advanced. They're designed to cause pain if the creature tries to wake up or use any natural abilities." Tae-ho walked around the massive being, studying its face. Even in sleep it looked powerful, dangerous, but also noble somehow. "Have you found any records? Why was it locked up?" Hyun, their tech specialist, spoke up from where he was working on an ancient computer terminal. "I've translated some of the logs. They call this being a world eater. Says it destroyed 3 settlements before they captured it." "A world eater," Tae-ho repeated softly. He looked at the creature again. "Was it a mindless beast? Or something more?" "There's more," Hyun continued. "The species that built this place, they called themselves the Jarek. They wanted to use this dragon as a weapon against their enemies, but it refused to obey them. That's why they locked it up. So it's intelligent," Tae-ho said. "Highly intelligent, according to these notes. It can communicate telepathically." Tae-ho made a decision. He turned to his team. "I want to wake it up." The room fell silent. Ji-woo was the first to speak. "Captain, with all respect, that might not be wise. If the records are true." "If the records are true," Tae-ho interrupted, "then this being has been tortured for 7 centuries because it wouldn't be used as a weapon. That doesn't sound like a mindless destroyer to me." "The Jarek are long gone," added Min, their security officer. "Their empire collapsed hundreds of years ago. This creature is the last of their legacy." Tae-ho nodded. "No one deserves to be imprisoned forever. Not without trial, not without hope of release. That's not justice, it's cruelty." "What if it attacks us?" Min asked, her hand moving to her weapon. "Then we defend ourselves," Tae-ho said simply. "But I won't leave a thinking being to suffer for eternity without at least trying to help." The team exchanged glances. They had served with Tae-ho for years. They trusted him, even when his decisions seemed strange. "How do we wake it safely?" Tae-ho asked Ji-woo. She studied her scanner. "The neural suppressors are the key. If we shut them down in the right sequence, it should allow the creature to wake up without pain or shock. And the restraints? Same system." "But Captain," Ji-woo hesitated, "if we free it completely, we'll have no way to stop it if things go wrong." Tae-ho thought for a moment. "Keep the leg restraints active for now. Let's talk to it first." For the next hour, they worked carefully. Hyun decoded the ancient control systems while Ji-woo monitored the creature's life signs. Min and the rest of the security team positioned themselves around the chamber. Weapons ready but not aimed directly at the dragon. Neural suppressors disengaging in 3, 2, 1, Hyun announced. The blue lights along the dragon's spine dimmed. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then slowly, the massive chest began to rise and fall more deeply. The creature's muscles twitched. "Life signs increasing," Ji-woo reported. "Brain activity spiking. It's waking up." Tae-ho stepped forward, placing himself between the dragon and his crew. He wasn't sure why he did this. The creature could probably kill him with a single swipe of its claws, but it felt right. The dragon's eyes opened. They were golden, with vertical pupils that narrowed in the light. Those eyes focused immediately on Taeho, with an intelligence that was unmistakable. "My name is Captain Taeho Kim of the Terran Alliance," he said clearly. "We found you imprisoned here. We've disabled the devices that were keeping you asleep." The dragon's gaze never left him. Then suddenly Taeho felt a presence in his mind, gentle but immensely powerful. "You freed me." Why, when the voice wasn't heard with his ears. It resonated directly in his thoughts. Taeho took a deep breath. "Because no one deserves eternal imprisonment," he answered honestly, not without hope of release. The dragon's head tilted slightly, studying him with those ancient eyes. "You are not like the Jarek. Your kind is unknown to me. We are humans. From Earth. The Jarek Empire fell centuries ago." A rumble came from deep in the dragon's chest, something like satisfaction. "I am Ryong of the Stellar Flame, the last of my kind in this region of space." "Why did they imprison you?" Taeho asked. "I refused to burn worlds for them. I refused to be their weapon." The mental voice carried centuries of anger and pain. "They sought to break my will through suffering." "We can remove the rest of your restraints," Taeho offered. "You've been here long enough." Behind him he heard Min shift nervously. The dragon noticed too, its gaze moving past Taeho to the armed humans. "Your companions fear me." "They are wise to do so, are they?" Taeho asked quietly. "Should we fear you?" The dragon's eyes returned to him. "I have no quarrel with your kind, human Taeho. You have shown honor when you had nothing to gain." "Then we have nothing to fear," Taeho said, and nodded to Hyun. "Release the remaining restraints." The metal bands around the dragon's legs clicked open. The energy field disappeared. For the first time in 700 years, Ryong was completely free. The massive creature rose to its full height, towering over the humans, its wings unfurled, spanning nearly the width of the chamber. The team stepped back, weapons raised instinctively. "Stand down," Taeho ordered, not moving from his position. Ryong looked down at him, then lowered its head until they were eye to eye. "This debt will not be forgotten, human. When the time comes, the stellar flame remembers those who showed kindness." Before Taeho could respond, the dragon's body began to shimmer with energy. It moved toward the cave wall and passed through it as if it were merely air. "Captain," Jiwoo called out, checking her scanner. It's gone. Just vanished." Taeho stared at the spot where the dragon had disappeared. "No," he said quietly. "Not vanished. Just gone somewhere we can't follow, at least not yet." As they made their way back to their ship, Taeho couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. He had freed a being of immense power and ancient knowledge. What would happen next was anyone's guess. But one thing was certain. The galaxy had just become a much more interesting place. 3 weeks had passed since Ryong vanished through the cave wall. Captain Taeho Kim sat in his office aboard the Starship Horizon, staring at the report on his screen. He had written and rewritten it 5 times, trying to explain why he had freed an ancient alien creature of unknown power. A soft chime announced a visitor. "Enter," he called. Jiwoo stepped into the room, holding a data pad. "The official response from command just came through," she said. Taeho sighed. "How bad is it?" "They want us to return to Earth immediately. Admiral Park will meet with you personally." "That doesn't sound good." Jiwoo sat down across from him. "You did the right thing, Captain. That creature was suffering." "I know," Taeho said, "but I'm not sure command will see it that way." The journey back to Earth took 8 days. The Horizon docked at the orbital station, and Taeho was immediately summoned to Alliance headquarters in Seoul. Admiral Minji Park was waiting for him in her office. She was a small woman with steel-gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. 2 security officers stood by the door. "Captain Kim," she said, not offering her hand. "Sit down." Taeho sat, keeping his back straight. "I've read your report," Admiral Park said. "You freed an alien entity that was classified as a world eater by its captors. An entity that, by your own admission, possesses technology or abilities we cannot understand. And you did this without consulting command." "Yes, Admiral." "Explain your reasoning." Taeho chose his words carefully. The being Ryong had been imprisoned for 700 years. It was being tortured continuously through neural implants. The species that imprisoned it, the Jarek, wanted to use it as a weapon. When it refused, they locked it away. And you believe this story? I did. The Jarek records supported it. Admiral Park leaned forward.
Captain, do you understand the potential danger you've created?
This creature could be anywhere in our territory now. It could be a threat to countless lives. With respect, Admiral, I don't believe it is. Ryong showed no hostility toward us. In fact, it expressed gratitude. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. Gratitude won't matter much if it decides to live up to its World Eater title. Before Taeho could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the building. Red emergency lights flashed. The security officers by the door put their hands on their weapons. Admiral Park pressed a button on her desk.
Report.
Unidentified object in Earth orbit, came the urgent reply. It appeared out of nowhere. Our sensors can't get a clear reading. Taeho felt his heart race. He knew somehow what it was. It's Ryong, he said quietly. Admiral Park stared at him. You're certain? Yes, she stood up. Come with me. They hurried to the command center, a large room filled with screens and control stations. Officers moved quickly between stations, their faces tense. On the main screen, Taeho saw it. Ryong floated in space, its massive form easily visible even from orbit. The dragon wasn't hiding. It wanted to be seen. It's directly above our position, said a young officer. Not moving. Weapon status? Admiral Park asked. Orbital defense is online, but targeting is difficult. The object seems to shift in and out of our sensor range. Taeho stepped forward. Admiral, please don't attack. Let me try to communicate with it. How? We have no way to... She was interrupted as every screen in the command center suddenly went dark. When they came back on, they all showed the same image. Ryong's face, its golden eyes seeming to look directly at them. I seek Taeho of Earth. The mental voice was stronger than before. Everyone in the room heard it. Some officers grabbed their heads in surprise. Admiral Park looked at Taeho. It seems you have a visitor, Captain. Taeho stepped closer to the main screen. I'm here, Ryong. The debt must be honored. I have come to warn you. Warn us about what? The hunters have returned. They seek what they have always sought, the power of my kind. Admiral Park moved to stand beside Taeho. What hunters? Who are they? They call themselves the Arcturians now. But they are the same souls who once called themselves Jarek. Different bodies, same hunger. Taeho and the Admiral exchanged glances. The Arcturians were a powerful alien race from a nearby star system. The Alliance had limited contact with them, mostly trade agreements and border treaties. Are you saying the Arcturians are descendants of the Jarek? Taeho asked, not by blood. By choice, by pattern. They found the old records. They know what I am, what I can do. They come now with ships and weapons to claim what they believe is their right. How long do we have? Admiral Park asked, her military mind immediately focusing on the threat. 3 of your days. Their fleet moves through the darkness between stars. Taeho felt a chill. Why tell us? Why not just leave? Hide somewhere they can't find you. Ryong's massive head tilted slightly. You freed me when you had no reason to do so. Your kind showed mercy when others showed only cruelty. The debt must be honored. What do you propose? Admiral Park asked. An alliance. Your weapons cannot harm them. Their ships move between spaces as mine does. But together we may stand against them. Admiral Park's face showed her doubt. Why would the Arcturians risk war with the Alliance? We have treaties. They do not seek war with humans. They seek me, but they will destroy any who stand in their way. The room fell silent as everyone considered the dragon's words. Finally, Admiral Park spoke. I need to consult with the Security Council. This is beyond my authority alone. Decide quickly, humans. The hunters do not hesitate. With that, the screens returned to normal. Outside, Ryong remained in orbit, a silent guardian above the Earth. The next hours were filled with emergency meetings. The Security Council gathered, along with military leaders and scientists. Taeho was questioned again and again about his encounter with Ryong. Can we trust this creature? Asked Counselor Dohyun, an older man with a permanent frown. For all we know, it could be working with these Arcturians. I don't believe that's the case, Taeho replied. Ryong was their prisoner for centuries. Why would it help them now? Perhaps to gain our trust, another counselor suggested. To position itself within our defenses. Admiral Park, who had been quiet for some time, finally spoke. Our long-range sensors have detected unusual activity at the edge of our solar system. Multiple objects moving at high speed toward Earth. They don't match any known ship signatures. The room grew tense. How many? Someone asked. At least 20 vessels, possibly more. Teho looked at the display showing Ryong still orbiting Earth. It was telling the truth. So it seems, Admiral Park agreed. The question is, what do we do about it? We have 3 options, said General Junho, the head of Alliance Defense. We can prepare to fight both the Arcturians and this dragon creature. We can surrender the dragon to the Arcturians to avoid conflict, or we can accept its offer of alliance. Fighting both would be suicide if what the dragon says is true, Admiral Park pointed out. And surrendering an intelligent being to those who tortured it goes against everything the Alliance stands for. Teho added firmly. Counselor Do-hyun frowned. You place a lot of faith in this creature's word, Captain. I do, Teho admitted. I looked into its eyes. I felt its mind touch mine. There was pain there and anger, but not deceit. The debate continued for hours. Finally, Admiral Park called for a vote. By a narrow margin, the Council decided to accept Ryong's offer of alliance. Teho was chosen to deliver their answer. He stood on the roof of the Alliance headquarters looking up at the night sky where Ryong floated among the stars. We accept your offer, he said aloud, knowing somehow that Ryong would hear him. We will stand together against the hunters. A moment later, Ryong descended from the sky, its massive form gliding down to hover just above the building. Its golden eyes fixed on Teho. You have chosen wisely. Now, we prepare. As the dragon spoke, lights began to appear in the sky. The Arcturian fleet, arriving sooner than expected. The battle for Earth was about to begin. The Arcturian ships filled the sky above Earth like metal stars, 23 vessels in total, each one shaped like a sharp arrowhead. They were beautiful in a cold, dangerous way. Their hulls shimmered with a strange blue light that seemed to bend the space around them. In the Alliance Command Center, screens showed the alien fleet taking position in high orbit. No weapons had been fired yet, but everyone knew that could change in seconds. They're hailing us, reported Communications Officer Sung-ho. Admiral Park nodded. On screen, the main display flickered, then showed the face of an Arcturian. They looked almost human, except for their pale blue skin and eyes with no visible pupils. This one wore ornate armor with symbols etched into the metal. I am High Commander Vex of the Arcturian Dominion, the alien said. Its voice was smooth but cold. We have come for the creature you are harboring. The one you call Ryong. Admiral Park stepped forward. I am Admiral Minji Park of the Terran Alliance. The being you speak of is under our protection. It has requested asylum. The Arcturian's expression didn't change. That creature is the property of the Arcturian Dominion. It was contained for good reason. Return it to us and we will leave your world in peace. Ryong is a sentient being, Teho said, moving to stand beside the Admiral. Not property. Not a thing to be owned. High Commander Vex's eyes shifted to Teho. You are the one who freed it. You have no idea what you've done. That creature has the power to destroy entire worlds. It is a weapon, nothing more. That's not true, Teho replied firmly. And we know about your ancestors, the Jarek. We know why they imprisoned Ryong. For the first time, the Arcturian showed emotion, a slight narrowing of those pupilless eyes. The past is irrelevant. What matters is the present danger. That creature must be contained. You have 1 hour to surrender it or we will take action. The screen went dark. Well, that went about as expected, Admiral Park said dryly. General Junho approached them, his face grim. Our fleet is in position, but we're outmatched. The Arcturian ships have technology we've never seen before. Where is Ryong now? Teho asked. Holding position on the far side of the moon, Jiwoo answered, checking her scanner. It's waiting. Admiral Park turned to Teho. It's your dragon, Captain. What do you suggest? Teho thought for a moment. We need to know more about what we're facing. Ryong said the Arcturians found old records. We need to know what those records said. And how do you propose we do that? I need to speak with Ryong again. Face to face. 20 minutes later, Teho stood on the landing pad of the orbital station. He wore a spacesuit, though Jiwoo had told him it might not be necessary. Ryong had created some kind of bubble around itself that contained air. Be careful, Captain, Jiwoo said through his comm. We'll be monitoring from here. Taeho nodded, then stepped out onto the open platform. He looked up at the stars and thought of Ryong. "I need to speak with you," he said aloud. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, like a shadow passing over the sun, Ryong appeared. The massive dragon seemed to step out of empty space, its scales shimmering with cosmic energy. It hovered before the platform, those golden eyes fixed on Taeho. "You wish to know about the hunters?" "Yes." "What did they find in those old records? What are they really after?" Ryong's tail swished slowly back and forth like a cat considering its next move. "My kind were not always few. Once we numbered in the thousands. We were the Stellar Guardians, protectors of the Nexus Gates." "Nexus Gates?" "Doorways between dimensions, between realities. My ancestors built them long ago when the stars were young." Taeho tried to grasp the scale of what Ryong was saying. "And these gates, they're important?" "They are power beyond your understanding. A single gate can provide energy to sustain a civilization for millennia. It can also be used to travel instantly across the universe, or to destroy entire star systems." Now Taeho understood. "That's what the Arcturians want. Not just you, they want the gates." "Yes. The Jarek found one gate damaged and dormant. They captured me, trying to force me to activate it. When I refused, they imprisoned me, hoping time would break my will. And now the Arcturians have found the same gate? They have found the records pointing to its location. But they need me to open it. Only my kind can awaken a dormant gate." Taeho looked up at the massive being. "Why tell us this? Why not just destroy the gate yourself?" Ryong's mental voice grew sad. "I cannot destroy it. It is the last connection to my people. Somewhere on the other side, others of my kind may still exist." Taeho understood then. Ryong wasn't just fighting for freedom, it was fighting against loneliness, against being the last of its kind. "How can we help?" he asked. "The gate must be protected. Not used, not destroyed, protected, until I can find others of my kind to help guard it properly." "Where is it?" "Hidden. In the place your people call the Cygnus Void." Taeho knew of it. A region of space avoided by most ships due to strange gravitational anomalies that made navigation dangerous. "The Arcturians will attack soon. They won't believe us if we tell them we'll protect the gate instead of using it. No, they have hunted too long. Their minds are set on one path." Suddenly alarms blared through Taeho's comm. Jiwoo's voice came through, urgent and afraid. "Captain, the Arcturians are powering weapons. They're targeting the orbital stations." Taeho looked at Ryong. "We're out of time. Then we must act. Are you ready, human Taeho?" "Ready for what?" "To see the truth of the universe." Before Taeho could respond, Ryong's form seemed to expand. Its wings spread wide, becoming like sheets of living starlight. The dragon's body glowed brighter and brighter until Taeho had to shield his eyes. When he looked again, he was no longer on the platform. He was somewhere else, floating in space, but not cold or airless. Around him stretched a view of stars unlike anything he had ever seen. Some were familiar constellations, but others were completely foreign. "This is the space between spaces," Ryong's voice explained. "The paths my kind travel. Why bring me here?" Taeho asked, amazed that he could speak normally. "Because you must understand what we fight. For look, ahead of them appeared a massive structure, a ring of crystal and light that seemed to be both solid and energy at the same time. It was beautiful, pulsing with colors Taeho had never seen before. "The Nexus Gate," he whispered. "Yes, one of the last. If the Arcturians find it, they will try to use it as a weapon. They do not understand its true purpose, which is connection, unity. The gates were built to bring worlds together, not tear them apart." As they floated before the gate, Taeho saw movement on its far side, shapes that resembled Ryong, other dragons moving through the strange space as if swimming through water. "Your people," he said. "They're alive, some few, scattered across dimensions. I have called to them, but the gate is dormant. They cannot hear me clearly." Taeho understood now why this mattered so much. "We'll help you protect it. But first we need to deal with the Arcturians. They're attacking Earth right now, then we must return. Are you ready?" "Yes." The strange space around them blurred. Taeho felt a sensation like falling and flying at the same time. Then suddenly he was back on the platform. But not alone. Ryong hovered above him, its body glowing with power. And beyond it, in the space where there had been nothing before, floated 3 more dragons. Smaller than Ryong, but still massive, their scales shimmering with different colors. One red as fire, one green as deep forest, one silver as moonlight. I could not bring many, Ryong explained. The gate is too weak. But these few heard my call across the void. Taeho stared in wonder. They came to help? They came for their brother. And for the gate. Now we fight. As if on cue, the sky lit up with energy beams. The Arcturian attack had begun. Earth's defense ships were returning fire, but their weapons seemed to pass right through the alien vessels. Our weapons aren't working, Taeho said, watching the battle unfold. They use phase technology, shifting partially out of this dimension. Your weapons cannot touch what is not fully here, but yours can. Ryong's mental voice carried something like a smile. We exist in many dimensions at once. Yes, we can touch them. With that, Ryong and the 3 other dragons launched themselves toward the Arcturian fleet. They moved like living comets, trailing light and energy. Taeho watched as the real battle for Earth began. The battle above Earth was unlike anything humans had ever seen. The 4 dragons moved through space as if it were water, their massive bodies leaving trails of cosmic energy. When they reached the Arcturian fleet, they didn't attack with weapons, they simply passed through the ships. In the command center, everyone watched in amazement as the Arcturian vessels began to flicker and spark. Their phase technology was failing. They're pulling the ships fully into our dimension, Jiwoo said, her eyes wide as she studied the readings. The dragons are forcing them to be solid. Admiral Park didn't waste the opportunity. All ships target the Arcturian vessels and fire. Earth's defense fleet responded immediately. Laser beams and plasma torpedoes that had passed harmlessly through the alien ships before now struck with full force. 3 Arcturian vessels exploded in brilliant flashes of light. But the aliens were not defenseless. Their remaining ships regrouped and fired strange weapons that seemed to bend space itself. 2 Earth ships were torn apart, their crews lost in seconds. Taeho had returned to the command center and now stood beside Admiral Park, watching the battle unfold. We're still outmatched, the Admiral said grimly, even with the dragon's help. On the main screen, they could see Ryong and the Red Dragon attacking the largest Arcturian ship, presumably High Commander Vex's flagship. The 2 other dragons were protecting Earth's fleet, creating some kind of energy shield that deflected the worst of the alien weapons. Suddenly, all communications went silent. The screens flickered, then showed the inside of the Arcturian flagship. High Commander Vex stood there, his blue face twisted with rage. "This is not your fight, humans," he shouted. "Give us the dragons and the gate location, and we will spare your world." Before Admiral Park could respond, Ryong's voice filled everyone's minds. "You lie, Hunter. You have never spared those who stood in your way." Vex's expression changed to one of cold hatred. "We offered you glory once, Beast. The chance to be more than a simple guardian. To rule alongside us, you offered enslavement, as your ancestors did before you. The Jarek were weak," Vex spat. "They did not understand your true potential." "We do," Taeho stepped forward. "What do you really want with the Nexus Gate?" Vex's pupilless eyes shifted to him. "What any intelligent species wants, power, control. The gates can provide unlimited energy. They can allow us to travel anywhere in the universe instantly. With that power, the Arcturian Dominion would rule for eternity. And destroy anyone who opposes you," Taeho said. "Only those foolish enough to resist progress." Admiral Park had heard enough. "Earth stands with Ryong and the Stellar Guardians. We will not help you find the gate." Vex smiled, a cold expression that didn't reach his eyes. "Then you will die with them." "We have studied the old records well. We know the dragon's weakness." With that, the communication cut off. Moments later, the Arcturian flagship began to glow with a strange purple light. "What are they doing?" Admiral Park demanded. Jiwoo checked her readings, her face growing pale. "They're generating some kind of dimensional pulse. It's targeting the same frequency the Jarek used in their neural suppressors." Taeho understood immediately. They're trying to use the same technology that kept Ryong prisoner. They want to paralyze the dragons. Outside, the pulse wave expanded from the flagship. When it reached the silver dragon, the effect was immediate. The creature convulsed in pain, its body twisting unnaturally. The green dragon moved to help its companion but was caught in the same wave. Both began to fall toward Earth, their bodies trailing sparks of energy. Ryong and the red dragon retreated, barely escaping the pulse. They regrouped near Earth's fleet, creating a protective barrier around the ships. "They have weaponized our pain." Ryong's mental voice was strained. "The pulse mimics the neural suppressors. We cannot approach their ships while it is active. Can we block it somehow? Tejo asked, not easily. The technology was designed specifically to target our kind. Admiral Park turned to her officers. Options? General Junho spoke up. If we can't approach their ships, we'll have to bring them to us. Lure them into a trap. What kind of trap could work against that technology? Tejo asked. Jiwoo had been quiet, studying her data. Now she looked up. The moon base, she said. Where we found Ryong. The Jarek built it with materials that could contain a dragon's power. Those same materials might block the Arcturians' pulse weapon. Tejo nodded slowly. We need to get the Arcturians to follow us there. A dangerous plan, Ryong commented. But possible. The hunters are arrogant. They believe they have already won. Admiral Park made her decision. Captain Kim, take the Horizon and a small team. Make it look like you're fleeing with important information. The dragons that can still fight will go with you, but stay hidden until the right moment. What about the two that were injured? Tejo asked. My siblings will recover, but slowly. They must retreat to the space between spaces to heal. And the rest of our fleet? General Junho asked. We'll make a stand here, Admiral Park said firmly. Make it look like we're fighting a losing battle. The Arcturians need to believe Captain Kim is escaping with crucial information. The plan came together quickly. Within 30 minutes, the Horizon was ready to launch. Tejo stood on the bridge with Jiwoo and a small crew of volunteers. All systems ready. Captain, reported Navigator Hyunwoo. Launch, Tejo ordered. The Horizon broke away from Earth's defense perimeter, accelerating toward the moon. As expected, 3 Arcturian ships immediately broke formation to pursue them. They've taken the bait, Jiwoo said. Tejo nodded. Now we just need to reach the base before they catch us. The chase was tense. The Horizon was fast, but the Arcturian ships were faster. They gained steadily, firing warning shots that deliberately missed the human vessel. They want us alive, Tejo realized. They think we know where the gate is. They are correct, came Ryong's voice. The dragon was following them, moving through the space between spaces invisible to normal sensors. The red dragon accompanied it. You do know where the gate is because I showed you. All the more reason to make this work, Tejo replied. As they approached the moon, Tejo ordered the ship to fly low over the surface, heading directly for the abandoned base. The Arcturians followed, their ships casting long shadows across the lunar landscape. We're approaching the base, Hyunwoo announced. 30 seconds to arrival. Tejo opened a channel to all crew. Prepare for emergency landing. This is going to be rough. The Horizon dove toward the massive cave entrance that led to the underground base. It was a tight fit. The ship scraped against the rock walls as it entered, sending sparks flying. Cut engines, Tejo ordered as they reached the main chamber, the same room where they had found Ryong. The ship settled onto the dusty floor with a heavy thud. Outside they could see the Arcturian vessels hovering at the cave entrance, too large to follow them inside. They're sending troops, Jiwoo reported, checking the sensors. Small craft are launching from their ships. Tejo turned to his crew. This is where it gets interesting. Everyone to your positions. As the Arcturian landing craft approached, Tejo felt Ryong's presence in his mind. We are in position. The walls of this place will shield us from their pulse weapon, but only partially. We must strike quickly. Understood, Tejo replied. We'll handle the ground forces. You take care of their ships when the time comes. The first Arcturian troops entered the cave, moving in perfect formation. They wore armor similar to their commanders, with helmets that covered their entire heads. Each carried a rifle-like weapon that glowed with the same purple energy as the pulse. Tejo and his team waited, hidden behind the Horizon and the old equipment that still filled the chamber. They had set up portable shield generators at key points around the room. Wait for my signal, Tejo whispered into his comm. The Arcturians moved deeper into the chamber, scanning for life signs. When the last of them had entered, Tejo gave the command. Now, the shield generators activated, creating a barrier across the cave entrance. At the same time, Tejo's team opened fire from their hidden positions. The battle in the cave was chaotic and fierce. The Arcturians were skilled warriors, but they had walked into an ambush. Human weapons fire echoed off the stone walls as both sides sought cover. Above, through the cave entrance, they could see flashes of light as Ryong and the Red Dragon engaged the Arcturian ships. Without the full power of their pulse weapon, the aliens were vulnerable to the dragon's attacks. One of the Arcturian ships exploded, its burning wreckage falling past the cave entrance. The second ship tried to retreat but was caught by the Red Dragon, which wrapped its massive body around the vessel and simply crushed it. In the chamber, the Arcturian troops realized they were trapped. Their commander raised a hand and the fighting paused. "Surrender," Tejo called out. "Your ships are destroyed. There's no escape." The Arcturian commander removed his helmet, revealing a face similar to Vex's but with markings that indicated lower rank. "This changes nothing," he said coldly. "Our main fleet still orbits your world. You have only delayed the inevitable." As if in answer to his words, the entire cave shook. Dust and small rocks fell from the ceiling. "What was that?" Jiwoo asked. Tejo felt Ryong's presence again, stronger than before. "The hunters have made a grave error. They have fired upon the moon with their main weapons, trying to kill us all. Is that bad?" Tejo asked, ducking as another tremor shook the cave. "It is fortunate. For us. The vibrations have reached deep into the moon. They have awakened something that has slept even longer than I did." "What do you mean? What's down there?" The answer came not in words but in a feeling, a sense of ancient power stirring far below them. The floor of the cave began to glow with strange symbols that Tejo recognized from the Nexus Gate. The Arcturian commander's eyes widened in fear. "No," he whispered. "It cannot be." "It is," Ryong confirmed, a note of triumph in its mental voice. "A seed gate, planted here long ago by my ancestors, dormant until now." As the symbols grew brighter, Tejo realized that the battle had just changed completely. Earth now had something the Arcturians wanted even more than Ryong, a Nexus Gate of its own. The symbols on the cave floor grew brighter, casting strange shadows on the walls. The light pulsed in a steady rhythm like a heartbeat. With each pulse, the entire moon seemed to tremble. "What's happening?" Jiwoo asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The Arcturian commander had backed away, his face showing real fear for the first time. His soldiers looked to him for guidance, their weapons lowered in confusion. Tejo felt Ryong's presence in his mind, stronger than ever before. The Seed Gate awakens. It has slept here since before humans walked upright on Earth. My ancestors placed it as a safeguard, knowing that someday it might be needed. "Is it dangerous?" Tejo asked. "All power is dangerous in the wrong hands. That is why the gates have guardians." The glowing symbols began to rise from the floor, floating in the air like living light. They formed a circle that slowly expanded until it was 10 meters across. Inside the circle, space itself seemed to bend and twist. "Captain," Hyunwoo called from where he was monitoring their ship's sensors, "I'm picking up massive energy readings, and something's happening in Earth orbit." Tejo tapped his comm unit. "Admiral Park, do you copy? What's your status?" After a moment of static, the Admiral's voice came through. "Captain Kim, the situation has changed. The Arcturian flagship it's being pulled toward the moon. All their ships are. The gate calls to them," Ryong explained. "Their technology is based on fragments of knowledge stolen from the Jarek, who stole it from my kind. The gate recognizes its own power and draws it back." The Arcturian commander suddenly raised his weapon, pointing it at Tejo. "Stop this," he demanded. "Shut it down." "I don't know how," Tejo replied honestly. "And I'm not sure I would even if I could." The commander's face twisted with rage. "Then you doom us all." "The gate cannot be activated without proper control. It will tear the system apart." "He lies," Ryong said. "He fears what the gate will reveal." Before anyone could respond, a new tremor shook the cave, stronger than before. Cracks appeared in the ceiling and dust filled the air. The circle of symbols was now a swirling portal of light, its center a deep blue that seemed to go on forever. "We need to get out of here," Jiwoo said urgently. "The whole structure could collapse." Tejo nodded. "Everyone back to the ship, now." As his crew hurried to board the Horizon, Tejo turned to the Arcturians. "You too. This place isn't safe." The commander hesitated, then gave a sharp order to his troops. They began to retreat toward their landing craft. "They will betray you the moment they are free," Ryong warned. "Maybe," Tejo acknowledged, "but we're not them. We don't leave sentient beings to die." As the last of his crew boarded the ship, Tejo felt a strange pull from the portal. It wasn't physical, more like a calling in his mind. He found himself taking a step toward it. "Captain," Jiwoo called from the ship's ramp. "We need to go." Tejo couldn't look away from the swirling blue light. "There's something I can see." Within the portal, shapes were moving. Not random patterns, but distinct forms. Dragons. Dozens of them, perhaps hundreds, flying through a sky that wasn't Earth's sky. A world beyond the gate, my home. Ryong's voice was filled with emotion. My people. They live still. The red dragon appeared beside Ryong, both of them hovering near the portal. The two injured dragons had returned as well, their strength partially restored. All four looked at the gateway with longing. Taeho understood. You're going home. The gate has opened a path. We can return to our own kind. A massive explosion rocked the cave. Part of the ceiling collapsed, crushing one of the Arcturian landing craft. Through the new opening, Taeho could see the Arcturian flagship descending toward them, its weapons charging. Hi, Commander Vex, Taeho muttered. He's going to try to take the gate by force. He cannot be allowed to succeed. The power of the gates in the hands of the hunters would mean destruction for countless worlds. What can we do? Our weapons can't stop a ship that size. Ryong's golden eyes fixed on Taeho. There is a way, but it requires a choice. What choice? The gates were built to connect worlds, to allow travel and understanding between different kinds of beings. But they require guardians, those who will protect that knowledge, who will ensure the power is never misused. Taeho began to understand. You want humans to become guardians, not all humans, but some. Those who have proven they understand the difference between power and wisdom. Another explosion shook the cave. The Arcturian flagship was now visible through the opening, its massive hull blocking out the stars. Captain, Jiwoo called again. We have to leave now. Taeho looked at the ship, then back at Ryong. What do I need to do? Step into the gate. See the truth of all things. If you are worthy, you will become more than you are. If not, I die. Taeho finished. Yes. It is not a choice to make lightly. Taeho thought of Earth, of the people he had sworn to protect. If the Arcturians gained control of the gate, what would happen to his world? To all worlds? Will this stop them? He asked. It will give us a chance, that was enough. Taeho turned to Jiwoo. Get everyone off the moon. Tell Admiral Park what's happening. If this doesn't work... Jiwoo's eyes widened as she realized what he was planning. Captain, no. There has to be another way. There isn't time to find it, Taeho said. Go, that's an order. Reluctantly, Jiwoo retreated into the ship. The Horizon's engines fired up, lifting it from the cave floor. It hovered for a moment, then shot out through the opening in the ceiling, barely avoiding the Arcturian flagship. Taeho stood alone before the portal, the four dragons hovering nearby. Above, the Arcturian ship began to lower massive equipment through the hole in the ceiling, some kind of device to capture or control the gate. I'm ready, Taeho said. Then step forward, human Taeho. Meet your destiny. Taking a deep breath, Taeho walked into the swirling blue light. For a moment, he felt nothing. Then pain. Incredible, overwhelming pain that seemed to tear him apart atom by atom. He tried to scream, but had no voice. Tried to move, but had no body. Then suddenly the pain was gone. In its place was everything. Knowledge, understanding, awareness beyond anything he had ever imagined. He could see Earth, the moon, the Arcturian ships. But he could also see beyond, to distant stars, to other dimensions, to realities that existed alongside his own. And he could see the dragon's homeworld, a beautiful place of floating islands and crystal spires, where hundreds of Ryong's kind soared through skies filled with multiple suns. You have passed the threshold. Ryong's voice came to him, clearer than ever before. You are changed. Taeho looked down at himself. His body glowed with the same energy as the gate symbols. He wasn't human anymore, at least not entirely. What am I? He asked, surprised to find he could communicate the same way Ryong did. You are a guardian now. The first human to join our order in all of history. Taeho felt the power flowing through him. With a thought, he rose into the air, floating up through the hole in the ceiling to face the Arcturian flagship. High Commander Vex stood on an observation deck, his face twisted with rage and disbelief. What have you done? Vex demanded, his voice somehow carrying through the vacuum of space. What was necessary? Taeho replied. The gate is not yours to control. It never was. You think becoming the dragon's pet changes anything? Vex sneered. We still have the power to destroy your world. No, Taeho said simply. You don't. With a gesture, he reached out with his new awareness. He could feel the Arcturian ships, could sense the stolen dragon technology that powered them. With another thought, he severed that connection. All across the Arcturian fleet, ships went dark. Their weapons powered down, their engines failed. They became nothing more than metal shells floating in space. Ryong and the other 3 dragons emerged from the cave, rising to hover beside Taeho. "Well done, Guardian," Ryong said. "Now we must complete the awakening." Together, the 4 dragons and Taeho spread out around the moon. They began to glow brighter, channeling energy into the seed gate below. The entire moon trembled, then stabilized as the gate fully activated. From the command center on Earth, Admiral Park and the others watched in awe as the moon began to shimmer with blue light. Strange symbols appeared across its surface, the same symbols from the cave floor now covering the entire moon. "What's happening?" someone asked. Jiwoo, who had returned from the horizon, smiled through her tears. "The beginning of something new." In space, Taeho felt the gate's power flowing through the moon, transforming it into something more than a simple satellite. It was becoming a true nexus gate, a doorway between worlds, between dimensions. "It is done," Ryong announced. "The Earth is now connected to the greater universe. Your people will never again be alone among the stars." "What about the Arcturians?" Taeho asked, looking at their powerless fleet. "They will be returned to their homeworld. Without the stolen technology, they are no threat. In time, perhaps they will learn wisdom instead of seeking only power." Taeho looked toward Earth, the beautiful blue planet that had been his home. He could still return there, he knew, but he would never again be fully human. His path now led elsewhere. "What will you do now, Guardian Taeho?" Ryong asked. Taeho thought of the wonders he had glimpsed through the gate, of the countless worlds waiting to be discovered, of the knowledge to be learned. "I will do what guardians do," he replied. "I will protect. I will learn. I will connect worlds that should know each other." The dragon seemed pleased with his answer. Together they turned toward the fully awakened gate. Beyond it lay Ryong's homeworld, where others of their kind waited. "Then let us begin," Ryong said. "The universe awaits." As they passed through the gate together, Taeho sent one last thought toward Earth, toward the friends he was leaving behind. "This is not an ending," he told them. "It's a doorway." And somewhere in the command center, Jiwoo smiled as she heard his words in her mind. She looked up at the transformed moon, now glowing with gentle blue light, and knew that humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning.